China gets up early to begin her day's routine. There's much to do. This year, she has announced plans for a new long march to become a modern nation by the year 2000. She begins that long trip by bike, on foot, and by hand. Everyone is supposed to pull together doing the job the state has assigned. Some of the tasks are menial. The tools are old, and the pay is low, a little more than $1 a day. But they seem to me to genuinely enjoy working for an entity larger than themselves, for the family, the commune, or the state. They will pool their resources, their money, their food, skills, and the land. That is the essence of this collectivist state. So each family will have enough, each commune or town will be self-sufficient, and the state will move forward. That's the plan. China's potential is enormous because there are nearly 1 billion people waking up here this day. Haya means sun, and the sun shines on these little people more than anyone else in China. They are dearly loved, the most cherished of all the wealth in China. They are the country's future. At 5 and 6 years old, they're learning the Chinese characters for the words sun, mountain, and friend. This generation will grow up literate, able to read and write Chinese and perhaps another language. Students spend 12 hours a day here, so they have plenty of time to play, as well as to study. Attendance at school isn't mandatory, but most choose to attend. In a country that seems drab with gray mao-suits and adult worry, that has no time for flower gardens, these children provide a welcome burst of color.
Had you learned English before you came to this class? Had you learned English before you came to this class? Liu Ho?
Yes, I had.
Sit down, please. You had.
Not many people in China
Number
speak
one.
English, but it seems now almost everyone is studying it. There is a tremendous emphasis on education now. It is the key to modernization. These students are 15 to 18 years old. This is a special high school for gifted science students. Those who succeed here go on to the top jobs with higher pay. It is not unusual for a scientist to earn 400 yuan a month. That's 10 times the national average. This is the start of the climb up the Chinese success ladder. The brightest of these students are young pioneers. It's an early stage leading up to Communist Party membership. At 16, some are chosen to be youth leaguers. Then it's narrowed still further in adulthood when a few are chosen for the Communist Party. That includes only about 1% of the population. And there's other incentive. Those who fail may be sent to the cabbage patches, tilling the soil for life.
Who will please?
I'd like to know how long he will stay in Peking.
Sit down, please. He will stay in Peking.
请大家把谱子连起来唱一遍。
Do they study English? This cab driver practices by listening to the radio on his way through town. You are at liberty to travel almost anywhere in town without guides, though language is definitely a barrier. And as we learned, so may be culture. At a street vendor's stall where most people buy vegetables fresh daily, I inquired about the price of garlic greens, a staple of the diet. The seller not only gave me the price, but the goods. So there I was with 2 pounds of greens, 40 cents, and no place to cook. So I tried to give them away. The Chinese, trained in self-reliance, resisted. And they were understandably curious about this American friend. We as a nation had been their enemy for 30 years. This goose knows his time is up. He will be soup soon. The cook uses everything but the quack. There's a wide variety of food from the sea. Eels, for example, and shark's fins, even sea slugs. The Chinese do not have refrigeration in their homes or in their stores, so they buy greens daily and add them to their rice. Lately, the Chinese have decided that women are spending too much time in the kitchen making steamed buns and noodles when they're needed in the fields and factories. Enter fast foods, a plate of dinner ready to heat and eat. Not exactly McDonald's volume yet. This store turns about 20 such plates a day, but it is a complete meal. The exteriors of Chinese grocery stores are not adorned by billboards or neon, and there are no sales pitches. There's no competition among the merchants, and sometimes there's not much to sell. Meat is scarce, and it's rationed. 1 ounce a day for adults, only 2 pounds a month. It's rarely a main course, more likely a cent in soup or sauce, except for the most privileged. The government is hoping to raise the standard of living for everyone by producing more and by selling more to foreigners. The shops on the main street in Peking seem to be for tourists, not for the residents. Silks, a major export. Some silk costs only $2 to $6 a yard. And the embroidery and handwork is in demand the world over. I was surprised to find furs. This red fox, we're told, was made in China. It would sell for about $8,000 in the United States. This one costs only $1,000. This large department store is meant for the residents, not for tourists. Its crowds are a permanent part of doing business. In buildings without central heating, moving in a crowd is one way to keep warm. A very popular symbol of China's new connection with the outside is TV. This day, the viewers see the People's Army do battle with the rugby team from Canton. Very few families own their own set, but watch television in marketplaces and stores. Programs run about 6 hours a day. They're mostly educational. A 12-inch black and white TV set will cost $120. Color sets are available. They cost at least $1,000, more than 2 years' total salary. When purchases are finally made, they're tallied on an ancient counting device, the abacus. Some people have calculators. They say this works even faster. The radicals who want more of all these consumer goods say so in posters they put up on the Democratic Wall, a wall across the street from Tiananmen Square in Peking, the seat of government. Because the government controls all the media, this is the dissidents' major outlet. For a time, almost any message was allowed. It was part of the new freedom. Then, fearing the lid was being let off too fast, the government cracked down, jailed some protesters, banned certain messages, and posted counter-propaganda. This one says, America is not a democratic paradise, and Jimmy Carter isn't a holy man. Not everyone was captivated by that message. These crescendos of liberalization and then restriction are orchestrated at Tiananmen Square with guidance from Soviet leaders, Stalin and Lenin. Their pictures here were a surprise given the frigid relations between the two countries, but they are seen as pre-revisionist, hence acceptable. The father of Chinese communism, Mao Zedong, is everywhere, and people still publicly show respect for him, though privately they'll blame him for the nation's economic backwardness. Their race to modernize may be painfully slow. They're beginning that race on foot. There are more men than machines here, so strong backs do the work of trucks and cranes. These workers on an irrigation project are each pulling 1 ton of sand and rock 10 miles across town, day after day, for $1 a day. There are sawmills in China, but the mechanized plants are few and the demand for lumber is high. So for now, a cross-cut saw must suffice. Some of this lumber is cut from dead trees, hard as rocks. These men pull 40 strokes a minute, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. The plant is in operation 7 days a week and 3 shifts a day. It will turn out only 200 boards of lumber a week. The primitive tools, the men's bodies strong and spare, the Chinese are embarrassed by it. They know there are better ways. Sawmills may be modernized and the output increased, but some of the men will be put out of work. What then? It is a major concern. Shanghai is one of the 10 busiest ports in the world, but for sheer diversity of traffic, nothing can compare. Junks and freighters choke the Huangpu River. Barges carry coal upstream to the communes. The port of Shanghai hopes to learn from the port of Seattle and other harbors how to improve shipping and cargo handling facilities. Workers in willow hard hats and canvas work shoes offload tons of fertilizer from Japan and sugar from Canton, while a cargo of honey, nails, cotton, pig intestines, and silver filigree is loaded onto outgoing vessels. In every factory, farm, and port in the country, the loudspeaker barks constant encouragement. Follow safety rules, increase output. There is an ancient Chinese proverb, women hold up half the sky. Women stevedores carry their weight on the docks, for which they are given equal pay. They are seldom managers, and they are rarely found in those centers of power, the party and the military. Maybe that's because there is another ancient Chinese proverb, a woman is worse than a man. Chinese proverbs are like Hallmark cards. You can find one to suit any occasion. Women in manual jobs work until they're about 55. Their children stay in daycare centers. And city women are encouraged to have just 2 children, farm women may have 4 or 5, abortion is legal and it's free. And a bonus of a month's salary is paid to women willing to get sterilized. Families are threatened with cutback in food rations if they don't limit population. Divorce is discouraged. Peers in the commune, we're told, will counsel families to stay together. And while the state tries to encourage strong families, it sometimes disrupts them. If a worker is needed in another part of the country, he or she may be sent away. Where is that delicate female image we have come to associate with Asian women? In this factory in South China, as elsewhere, women's efforts seem to be focused more on their work than on their personal appearance. Agile fingers, twisting, soldering, and pinching thousands of tiny pieces of silver together to create filigree handicrafts. Painstaking work under these dim lights with these crude tools. It's hard work. Pieces small as the whites of a fingernail are put in place by hand and by tweezers. Honed with a metal file, and then smoothed by heat that comes from a foot-pumped blowtorch. But the delicate beauty of China is preserved once again in silver, an image that will cost foreigners $200 a plate.